Hi everybody, Chris Bennett here from GovLive, and this is our weekly GovLoop crisis blog. And today I'm here with Connie Brooks, who's the president of the Florida Animal Response Coalition, and locally here in Tampa Bay, she's with the SPCA and the DART program, which is a Disaster Animal Response Team.
Yes.
And also here we have my dog Puck, because you can't have an interview like this and not include our pet. So. Connie, first of all, why don't you tell me what you were doing yesterday while we had to reschedule our interview?
Yesterday I was helping evacuate 300 dogs from Puerto Rico ahead of the storm. They're going to a PetSmart Charities event in Yonkers, and they were supposed to go next week, but we had to get them out because Hurricane Earl is processing winds that are really causing a problem in Puerto Rico right now. So they wouldn't have been able to evacuate. They probably would not have made it out of Puerto Rico alive because they just didn't have enough room in their shelters.
Wow, that's great. And now this week is the five-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, so a lot of these topics have been coming up. Were you involved with either Katrina or any other storms since then, and want to share anything of what DART has done or what you've done?
Okay. Actually, the disaster animal response teams were formed after Hurricane Andrew in 1992 as a response to animals in disaster. The reason why is because there was no plan for animals in the state of Florida, nor was there a plan nationally for animals in disaster. And after Hurricane Andrew, many animals were found wandering the streets with no place to go, and people had no place to take their pets. There were no pet-friendly shelters. There was no action or response for any animals at all in our communities. And unfortunately, in 2005, when Hurricane Katrina hit, the same thing occurred. Now, that was many years after Hurricane Andrew, and this country still had not made a plan for animals. The fortunate thing about Hurricane Katrina, and the one and only fortunate thing, was that out of it came the requirements that pets need to have a plan. There needs to be a plan in the United States, and that plan was developed then. So every community in the United States must now make a plan for animals.
And do you feel like we're there? Have we made a lot of progress since then, or?
I feel like we're making progress. That was 2005. It takes time. And do they have the resources to do it? Some communities just don't have those resources. Right now, we're working on those. We're working on them very strongly, but we are better than we were in 2005. In Hurricane Ike, right after Hurricane Katrina, the same situation occurred where many people lost their lives because they didn't have a plan. They stayed behind with their pets and they didn't have a plan. And today, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. We need to be people helping people. Volunteers working to take care of the people in our communities, and that includes the elderly and the sick and the young, and any of those animals that don't have a place to go. We need to find a place for them to go, if that means evacuating them.
Right. That's excellent. And we have a lot of government folks, obviously, part of GovLoop, watching this today. And what message would you have to GovLoop members who work in government, whether they're local community leaders or federal employees, or what would you like to communicate to a pretty large government audience here? A little bit of your wish list and how we can all help this response go better.
Well, I think that any response would go better if all of us worked together to make sure that we were taken care of, that your friend or your person sitting next to you was taken care of, whether they have an elderly parent at home or they have a pet at home. Everybody needs to work together to make sure there's a plan. So first, it would be businesses developing plans, government developing a plan, make sure all your employees and their pets and their family members are taken care of, and communities develop a good plan for animals, owned animals, stray animals, and animals in animal shelters, so that they don't become the victims, the lost victims, the left behind victims, because we can never have another Katrina or another Ike. Unfortunately, Ike, we had lost many lives, and we can't do that again because we know what we can do to prepare. So make that preparation now and prepare for the animals in the community as well as the people, because with every animal comes a person. And if you don't take care of the animal, you're leaving the person behind as well.
Right, and that's a great message. And with OneStorm.org, we've been helping people prepare not only for their own families and themselves, but for their pets. And we want people to have a plan where not only do they have all the supplies they need for the animal, but they know where where they're going to go, what they're going to do. They've identified the pet-friendly shelters, if that's the
Yes.
case. So rather than me talk about that, what are the maybe the top 3 or just a couple tips that any pet owner watching this today should do to prepare for any crisis, whether it's a hurricane or any kind of disaster? What should they plan and put in place right now?
Right now, they should make sure that their pets are current and active on all their vaccinations, that they have a 2-week supply of any medication that they need, they have the food and everything they would do just to plan for their own family members, and that they have a place on high ground to go to in the event of a disaster, any kind of a disaster. What is their alternative? And on that alternative in their disaster, do they have a plan B? Because we all know that in a disaster, plan A generally falls apart. So you have to go to plan B. And if they have that, I think they'll be okay. Just looking at knowing what they're going to do. Without a plan, we have no options. But with a plan, we have a couple options to take care of. So make sure there's always that second option. But take your pets with you. Never leave your pets behind. They cannot fend for themselves. The old adage of 3 days food and water is gone. You need to not do that. You need to make sure they depend on us, and we have to take care of them, just like our children depend on us to make a plan.
Yeah, and I remember stories of people that would not leave because their pets would not be, they couldn't take their pets, and they just decided to stay. And I think that's your message is we can't let that happen again, and we just need to be prepared for it, and have a place where you're going to go and what you're going to do, and
Yes.
have everything ready.
Exactly. The unfortunate thing is I have a dog in my home right now. Her name is Monet, and Monet's family had 4 children and the parents, and they stayed behind with their pets in Hurricane Ike. None of them survived. I have Monet. She was washed ashore on an island, and we found out who the family was because of her license. That family did not survive because they didn't make a plan. And every day I see her, every day I remember that family didn't make a plan. And that dog now suffers because she's lost her whole family.
Yeah, very sad.
It is very sad, and it shouldn't happen it shouldn't happen, especially government agencies and businesses. It's our responsibility to make sure we make a plan for those people, or at least educate our employees and our staff members and our volunteers on what to do in a disaster, so that they're prepared.
Right, and I'm sure you could go to the SPCA and find out a lot of information about disaster preparedness for your
Absolutely.
pets. And lastly, before we go, the oil spill has been a big topic
Yes.
on GovLoop and worldwide, and we've covered it a lot here on our crisis blog. Just tell me what kind of involvement you've had with the spill, how things are going, how people can help if they still want to. Give us a little recap of what's been going on and what's still left to do.
Our disaster teams are helping with the response of transport and taking to rehab. So the Fish and Wildlife Group is working very hard with Tri-State, which is an organization, and they're doing a very good job up there recovering and taking care of the animals that are there. We actually transport them to rehab and release. And it's going very well. They're doing everything they can for the communities, but we still have to be out there to take care of the animals if they need help. And apparently, we're looking at maybe closing down. So they're looking at recovery is going well.
Great.
And we're hoping that. And the communities up there, really, it's a beautiful community. Support those communities. Support the Gulf Shores because they need you. And the beaches are beautiful. Go. I'm going on vacation there. So.
Yeah, and that's been one of my big messages too. Is Florida pretty minimally has been affected
Yes.
by the spill itself. But if you ask people outside of Florida, they think, well, we're not going to the beaches because the oil's there.
Oh no!
And
Oh no! That's not true. I'm there every day, and I wish I was on vacation, but I'm working. But I'm taking my family there. Mississippi Gulf Coast and Louisiana Gulf Coast and Florida Gulf Coast are the most beautiful Gulf Coast in the United States, and I say go, have a good time, enjoy it. There's nothing, we have problems, but it's not affecting the beaches. And the only thing right now it's affecting is tourism, but the people need to go back. Go back because it's great, beautiful places.
All right, well, I couldn't agree more. And Connie, thank you for your time today. And again, make a plan for your pet this hurricane season, or again, anywhere in the country, in the world. Make a plan for your pet for any disaster. You can go to the SPCA, or you can go to onestorm.org and make a plan as well. And do you have a website address that you'd like anybody to check out for DART or for SPCA?
I do. It's www.bayareadart.org, And also, you can look at the Humane Society of the United States websites as well as the ASPCA website. There's a lot of good information about preparing your pets, your family for disaster.
All right, great. And Puck, thank you for being so good today. And thank you.
Thank you.